talking about ransomware today, specifically the impact on small businesses. Raul Kashyap with Awake Security, he's the CEO of the company, is here to talk cybersecurity with us here again, specifically ransomware in the small business sector. Raul, how big of a problem is this?
This is a pretty big problem already at a pretty large scale. I believe the ransomware attackers have hit kind of the sweet spot of profiling and finding the kind of almost the perfect victims for very high success rates. These are the unsophisticated IT users with a minimum or no IT security budget, and they almost never have backups. And very likely their crimes might not even get reported by many of these people because they just end up paying up. So this is a very large problem and also growing rapidly.
So you're saying that because small businesses, because of their budgets and not having a large IT staff, that's really the sweet spot now, is what that's become.
Yeah. And ransomware is a very different kind of attack. If you see, there are different forms of attack, right? So you have forms of attack which are stealthy and hidden. Most malware is designed to be behind the scenes and never there. Ransomware is the exact opposite because it's about scaring the users, saying, literally holding them as hostage and trying to extract money immediately. So, and it kind of fits this profile of users very well from a psychological profiling point of view.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Before we get to the obvious things about what people can do and companies need to keep in mind, Royal, talk a little bit about, because you work with businesses every day that are trying to protect themselves, and I'm sure you've seen the impact of an attack like this. Talk a little bit about what it does, to the psyche when someone or a company has been attacked in this way.
Yeah, so I actually have met several victims myself, and we have talked as well. One of our solutions actually is designed to identify such attacks and try to disable and take out, some of the victims. Just recently, a few months ago, we helped a Dallas-based manufacturing company, not a small company, to basically identify and disable a ransomware attack which was underway. So what we found was, they were evaluating the product, and one of their facilities in Atlanta was hit by a ransomware attack. And this was a pretty well-known strain at that time. They basically executed and encrypted more than 2,500 files, effectively shutting down 4 of the company's critical servers. And the attacker demanded a 6-figure ransom for the files because they profiled and they felt that they had compromised something of value to the victim, so they had a pretty high price. So first of all, we identified and helped them first of all mitigate and contain the infection so that it didn't go, because they had more facilities, actually 6 more facilities which we prevented that from happening and spreading out. But yeah, this was an real alarming situation because the victim was completely unprepared to handle this scenario.
Yeah, and that's obviously why we try to make these videos here, Raul, to keep people on their toes so they know what to look out for. So talk a little bit more in depth about suggestions that you make to companies, or things that people need to keep in mind, and things that they need to instruct their employees to do and to look out for as well.
Yeah, so ransomware is still pretty much being exploited or delivered using the traditional and the most well-known weakness in cybersecurity, which is the humans, right? Most ransomware attacks still come via phishing emails targeting specific groups of users. Specifically the kind of people we are seeing: schools, counties, police departments. Most of these emails of a lot of people are available publicly. So people are obviously harvesting your email addresses and trying to send you emails. So be very, very careful of spam. I'm sure you have heard this from pretty much everybody in cybersecurity, is that don't trust and don't click on emails. That's all it takes. One click and the ransomware can infect you. So basic hygiene is always going to be very, very critical. If you don't have backups, try to see if you can isolate and build out a network where ransomware infections cannot spread very quickly and create havoc in your environments. So yeah, I would say pretty much the standard precautions that would be applied for ransomware infections. And surprisingly, we are still struggling with the basics right now still, and this is what's causing the infections.
And do you think, Raul, in closing, these attacks are still happening, and this is something we talk about a lot, and people have heard this. This isn't the first time. Do you feel like we're starting to see a little bit of a shift in terms of companies starting to take this kind of thing more seriously, or do you still feel like people are kind of acting like they're in the dark here?
I would say it's a mixed bag. Some of the businesses which are fairly large are definitely investing and being more proactive. But I'm seeing school departments being hit. I'm seeing people who just don't have the resources or any kind of planning to really tackle this. So we are left really vulnerable. So there are several large sections of society at large that I'm seeing which are very vulnerable to these kind of attacks right now.
Yeah, it's really scary. All right, Raul, we certainly appreciate you being with us today and sharing that information. And for much more on ransomware and cybersecurity in general, make sure you check out Tech Republic and ZDNet. Thanks for watching.